Hi, everybody. Welcome. My name is Melissa, and I want to thank you for joining us for our workshop this evening, Addressing Tantrums Like a Boss. I am looking very forward to going through this workshop with you tonight. And then at the end, I will be more than happy to answer your questions live. So please stay on until the end if you have questions that you would like me to answer at the end of the presentation. So without further ado, as I know this is a topic of great interest to many of you, I am going to get started so we can get through all of the information we have for you this evening. We'll start my favorite video. I remember when I got pregnant with my daughter, I felt so grateful and so blessed. My life up until that point had been pretty rocky. I'd had a lot of bumps and bruises along the way, and I finally thought that I was turning the corner and God was blessing me with this beautiful gift of a child. And I just, yes, finally something was going my way. And then when she was born, she was just absolutely perfect. I had all of these dreams and expectations for her. I thought of what she was going to do. She had good girl. Right after the first birthday, I started to notice her behavior change. She went from, saying that, but she was obsessed with Dora the Explorer, Mama, Dada. She was saying it all. Good girl, say Matt. Hit all of her milestones up to that point. She walked at 1. She was eating solid. She just, she looked really good. And then I just remember her. It felt almost overnight or very quickly where her demeanor just changed. She went from this super happy baby to crying, tantrum, just frustrated all the time. And I remember saying to my mom one day during one of these tantrums, like, where did my happy baby go? But I didn't think anything past it. I think I was kind of not ready to fathom that something could be off, even though maybe the telltale signs were there. She started to lose the words that she had made. She wasn't saying mama anymore. She wasn't saying that. She just seemed really disconnected from us. Instead of playing with her toys, she would take them, dump them all out of her toy box, and just start twisting them around her hands aimlessly with no intended purpose. Really kind of in denial about it. And then I remember one day we were in the middle of a store, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she just started screaming and yelling like somebody had slapped her. I don't even know what the problem was, and I was so mortified. I didn't even know what to do. I was so scared. I literally just left the half full cart in the store, picked her up, and just ran out of there. I never went to that store again. I just didn't even know what to think. And that was probably the first time it really kind of stung for me that maybe something is wrong. They diagnosed her. They did diagnose her right away. They said that she was too young for a diagnosis. I didn't even know what they meant when they said that. I was like, diagnosed with what? I just had no idea what they were talking about. And then they said, we'll come back in if you're not seeing progress. I said, okay, And a couple months later, I'm watching these speech therapists play with her on the floor. I'm not seeing any progress. It felt like she was getting a little worse. And then we went for our 2-year-old wellness visit, and the doctor said that she was behind if she wasn't using 20 words of intent. And that was probably just the knife to my heart at that point. I really couldn't deny that something was up with her anymore. So then I called the county back in, and then she was diagnosed on the spectrum. And I remember that day, and it was worst days of my life. It was my darkest hour. I could easily say that as a mother, as a woman, as just a human being. It was probably one of the hardest times I had ever gone through. And I remember just being so happy with God, so thankful, being so pleased. for a while there, I struggled. I struggled to figure out what this meant or what we were going to do or how this was going to define her. All those dreams I had for her future were just completely shattered, and I just had no idea what was going to happen next. And I went from total to just complete blank when I thought about the future. One night I was thinking, I'm going to die one day. It's going to be up for her like a moment. And something about that thought just snapped me out of my depression and my anger and my fear and said, listen, we got to get to work here. I promised that when she was born, I was going to be the best mother I could be to her. And that promise hasn't changed. In fact, she needs more now than ever, not less. She needs me now more than ever. And I didn't know at the time what we were capable of or what having those changes, that mindset shift for me was going to do. But I wanted to know that at the end of every night, I could look myself in the mirror and say, did you do everything you could, Michelle, to give her the best possible life? And if the answer was yes, and that was a good day. And I wanted the answer to be yes, 100%. And no matter where the cards fell, I know I could leave this earth saying I gave her everything I had, no regrets. And as I've navigated this world with her and walked away that day after having that thought, I really just grabbed the bull by the horns. I became a fiercest advocate. I'm not a special education master's degree teacher. I never had any formal training in ABA, but I knew that I was going to learn whatever I needed to learn to be really strong for her. And Juliana lost all of her language. Okay, she was nonverbal when she was diagnosed. We taught her sign language. Show me. Show me. Then she went from sign language to word approximations. Then she started to speak. She went from the most restrictive preschool environment. She was in the 614, most restrictive preschool, special education preschool environment. To now, where she is almost 8 years old. She's in the second grade class in a dead-end school, integrated class with typical peers. She speaks beautifully now.
What did you like about the Chipotle?
I like when they make coffee. I like when they have
She has a personality. She has conversation skills. There's still things that we need to work on, but for the most part, her future went from lack to now having possibilities. And none of that could have happened had I not kind of gotten out of my own way and really hit the ground running and started to take action for her. And I can't say that I can do that for every parent I coach. What I can tell them is I will have them feeling like I did, looking myself in the mirror, you looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, I was everything I could be for her today. I have no regrets. And whatever happens, it happens. It's really for us as parents to know we fulfilled the duty that we promised when we had these children, which was to be the best versions of ourselves, to live, to raise these children. I've helped now hundreds of mothers, coach them one-on-one to do the same things I did, to help them to be strong, to help them to craft plans where we're seeing constant progress. This is what I want to do. I want to give you the chance that Juliana's had. I want to give you every opportunity with your child that has.
a day full of happiness. A great time. I hope you will remember. Happy birthday, Love King.
time I play it, it starts off rough, but has a real happy ending. So you can see how much progress and what a difference can be made with a lot of consistency, a lot of hard work. Like Michelle said, kind of getting out of your own way and reaching out to the people that can give you some interventions and can help you with mindset coaching and life coaching and ABA skills and interventions and dietary advice. And all of us together can help to get you where you need to be and get your child where they need to be. So that being said, we're going to start talking about addressing tantrums like a boss. I want to preface this by saying that all of the strategies that I'm going to discuss in tonight's presentation are all the beginning steps that you would start to try to use if you are seeing these behaviors from your child. So these are not the most intensive interventions, the most complicated behavioral intervention plans that you might get after somebody comes into your home or works with your child, observes your child, does a functional assessment, writes up a behavior intervention plan, and all of those strategies. These are all the first steps that you should take to be able to start to gain control over these behaviors. And for many of you, these strategies will really help you start to make some progress and will really help you start to get a handle on what's going on with your child. And by being a part of this community, we're able to help you build on the skills that you learn in this workshop through our weekly, our bi-weekly group meetings and our calls, like I said, with our dietitian, with our life skills coach, with our mindset coach. And all of these things together will help to continue to develop more intensive and more individualized plans, or if you're trying these strategies and behaviors escalate past the point of you being able to use these strategies to intervene, or you start to use these strategies and you're not sure if you're using them correctly, or something different happens than what we discussed in the workshop and you're not really sure what to do, being able to reach out to us on our Facebook group or during our parent group meetings is a real good way for us to be able to continue to provide you that individualized support that you might need while you're learning these new skills. But that being said, these are all basic strategies that most of you can implement with, like I said, just a little bit of assistance and maybe reviewing this presentation. And like I said, reaching out to us on the Facebook group and asking questions as needed. So we will get to our question and answer period at the end. So please hang around till then. Now, let's talk about heading off a tantrum that's just starting. Most of what we implement is really about the timing. The timing is so important because once a tantrum escalates past a certain point, it's no longer a teachable moment and you have to ride out that tantrum. But there is a period of time where a tantrum is just starting where you might be able to head it off and prevent it from happening in the first place. So distract your child to try to head off a tantrum that's just starting. So if you can see your child's mood is starting to deteriorate, you might be able to stop the tantrum in its tracks if you act quickly. Try changing your child's location. For instance, offer them a toy or a snack that might take their attention away from what they're upset over. It won't work every time, but it's worth a shot. Avoid offering anything that your child isn't usually allowed to have, like your phone, because the next time they want that item and they won't understand why they can't have it, it's likely to lead to another tantrum because the last time I did this, I ended up with that item or activity that I really, really wanted. So sometimes redirecting can head off the tantrum and prevent it from happening in the first place. Now, if that doesn't work and the tantrum escalates or continues, stay calm. And I know this is so much easier said than done because I've been there. I've done this quite often, not only with my students, but I have a nephew who's on the spectrum, and I have had to utilize these strategies from both sides of the table, so to speak. And I know it's really hard to keep your cool when someone else is screaming at you, especially if that person is your own small child. However, if your child sees that you're upset, it's going to be even harder for them to calm down. So if you're not feeling calm, pretend that you are. Just fake it till you make it. It's okay. Your child may not know that you're not calm if you appear to be calm. So no matter what your child is doing, try to speak in a soft, even tone. Keep your movements controlled and deliberate. You want to ignore the behavior the best you can. Usually, the best thing you can do during a tantrum is to wait it out. Unless your child is doing something that requires immediate attention, like hitting, biting, breaking things, doing something that's dangerous. But if your child is just crying, screaming, lying on the floor, sit or stand nearby and wait for them to get all of their anger and frustration out of their system. You can talk to them later about how to manage their emotions better. But in that moment, while they're upset, like I said before, it's not a teachable moment, and they're not going to retain anything you say to them during that tantrum. When somebody is experiencing extreme anxiety, frustration, or a tantrum, they are not thinking clearly. So that's not the time to talk to them about their behavior or try to teach them something about how to do things differently next time. If you haven't been able to divert the tantrum from happening and it gets to a certain point, unfortunately, you just have to ride it out. So ignore the behavior the best you can. Don't give in. This is so vital. Do your best not to give in to whatever they're throwing the tantrum over. And this is going to be individual based on your child and the circumstances of the moment. It can be really hard to say no sometimes, especially if you're in public and you feel embarrassed by the tantrum. However, giving in will just make sure your child is more likely to have tantrums in the future, because it reinforces the idea that if they scream and yell, they'll get their way. And if they start to figure out that this may not work at home, but it always works when we're in front of other people, they will start to use that behavior more and more when you are in front of other people, because they will figure out that's the variable. So, as an example, if they want a particular toy or treat at the grocery store, and they're throwing a tantrum because you said no, do not buy it for them. If they're throwing a tantrum because they don't want to sit at the table, it's okay to leave for a moment to calm down, but then return to the table once the tantrum is over, so your child knows they can't get out of things by throwing a fit. So in the moment, I'm not saying muscle your child into the chair and don't let them leave and hold on to them until you outlast them. That is absolutely not what I'm recommending. If your child is tantruming because they don't want to do something that's in front of them, they don't want to be in front of something that's in front of them, and they get up and they tantrum and they walk away. Once the tantrum is over, you have to bring them back to finish whatever it was that they were tantruming over in the first place, or you have to give them an appropriate way to get out of it. So if it's something, a task that they don't want to do, they can do one and then be all done if they ask nicely. If it's food, maybe they take one more bite and ask nicely to be done, and then they can be done. You might have them come back and complete the entire task. It really depends on the severity of the behavior, the severity of the frustration, the task you're asking them to tolerate, their history of tolerating that task. Is this something that they just don't want to do right now? Or have they had issues with tolerating non-preferred food in the past, and now this has been an issue for a long time, and now you're expecting them to tolerate the food in front of them. So depending on the circumstances, determines exactly how much you're going to make them tolerate when you do bring them back to that item or activity or demand. If the behavior escalates, use some timeout. Now, let me preface this by saying timeout, which can be a very controversial procedure to use in schools. The actual procedure is called timeout from positive reinforcement. That's all it's supposed to be. It evolved into something different being used in schools and programs because the people that were using it at that time were not being trained properly and using it in the right way. When used appropriately, it can be a very, very successful strategy. So if the child's tantrum continues to get worse, you can try changing their environment. If you're at home, take your child to a designated timeout space. This can be somewhere without any distractions, like your hallway or the bottom of the stairs, something like that. If you're in public, just go somewhere private. Sometimes tantrums occur because the child is feeling overstimulated. And if that's the case, changing their location can help them to start to feel a little more calm. It also gives you privacy to deal with your child, and that way you don't feel like every eye is on you, which might affect your behavior in the moment. Now, when I said timeout from positive reinforcement, when they were trying to use timeout as an instructional behavioral strategy in the schools, the theory behind it was, if we're doing a fun activity and the child is acting out, that they would be removed from that activity for a period of time until they're, and that they wanted to be a part of. Their behavior would calm down because they want to be a part of that activity. And then they would get to re-access that activity after they've had a minute to calm down, cool off, and the behavior stops. Then they can readjust. We could talk about their behavior for a minute, a second, however old they are, what their communication level is, and then we can bring them back to that activity and they can complete it in a positive way. So that was a different instructional strategy. What we're talking about here is just taking time out from the situation in order to allow your child the opportunity to calm down, to change the environment, to give you and your child some privacy, to allow the behavior to pass calmly, and then to move on with either going back to a demand or leaving the environment, depending on why the tantrum was happening in the first place. Now, we want to try to avoid triggers when possible. And I'm going to preface this by saying we will eventually teach the child to tolerate triggers, but initially to address the tantrum part of it. If you know that there's a trigger and it's possible to avoid, then we want to avoid that. And it can sometimes be hard to know what's going to make your child throw a tantrum. It can sometimes be something as small as handing them a blue cup when they wanted a purple one. But trying to anticipate what might be upsetting to your child and come up with ways to sidestep them whenever possible. So, as an example, don't give your child a toy that's too advanced for their age because they might get frustrated if they can't work it properly or can't figure it out. If it's an older sibling's birthday, you might have a small toy wrapped for your smaller child or your child on the spectrum so that they don't get upset that they don't have their own present. Over time, we will teach them to tolerate that. We will teach them that right now you will have one small toy while your brother or your friend or whoever's party it is has all of their presents. Then the next step would be, as long as they don't get upset about not having their own present to open while the child is opening their presents, at the end of the party, they will get a small wrapped present of their own to open. Then the next step would be, if their behavior is appropriate at the party, they get their own present when they get home. Then the next step would be, sometimes you don't get a present when you get home, but you might get to do something special. Then it might be, sometimes you get a present, sometimes you get something special, and sometimes you just get to go to a party. But we build up to that. But for right now, in order to address the tantrum part of it, which we don't want to become a habit, we don't want it to become a stronger learned behavior. If you know there's a particular trigger, like you know your child is going to blow a fit if they don't have the purple cup, have a couple of spare purple cups, right? Buy a few of the same purple cups. So when you're washing one, you still have a purple cup to use. And change them often from the beginning. So one is not worn out, and then you give your child a brand new one and they can easily distinguish the difference. Like, you want to get them used well at approximately the same rate. And you can also prime your child with an appropriate alternative response. So if you know your child is going to get upset if you don't give them the purple cup, and you have the choice of both the blue and the purple cup, you can first tell your child, you can show me which one you want. Would you like the blue one or the purple one? Or which one would you like? And give them a choice. Or say, here, do you want the blue one? I have the purple one if you really want it, but why don't you try the blue one? So if they really don't want the blue one, they can ask appropriately for the purple one. So like I said, we will teach those coping and toleration behaviors, but if you're looking for ways to manage the tantrums and reinforce appropriate behavior so that becomes more of the habit, this is one way to do that. You want to keep a consistent routine as much as possible. Small children, kids on the spectrum, and other developmental disabilities really benefit from a consistent schedule. We all benefit from a consistent schedule, let's be honest. That includes waking up, eating, napping, going to bed at about the same time every day. By sticking to a schedule, your child learns what to expect from each day, which gives them a sense of order and control. Excuse me. That security can then cut back on tantrums. Unpredictability is extremely scary to your child, okay? That's why transitions can be difficult. That's why change can be scary. Change can result in maladaptive behavior, because if your child doesn't know what to expect or what's going to be expected of them, that's really scary. Like, imagine if you didn't know what to expect across your day from 1 minute to the next. Okay, wait, imagine losing your phone. Okay, you don't have your phone for 24 hours. Think of the anxiety you would feel about not having your phone for 24 hours. That's how your child feels anytime they're not sure of what's going to happen next, or they expected something and something different happened, or they don't know what's going to happen across their day. So predictability is good. A routine helps establish that this is predictable. This is what's going to happen. So Monday through Friday, you go to school. On Saturday and Sunday, lots of different things can happen. So if we try to keep a consistent routine on Saturdays and Sundays, or Saturday routine and a Sunday routine, depending on what your family may or may not be doing, that's great. That will help instill that predictability for your child. The difference between a school year and summer vacation can be really, really anxiety producing for a lot of our kids. You say, well, wait, don't all kids want to be on vacation? Who wants to be at school? My child doesn't like going to school where they're placing all of these demands, but it's predictable and they know what to expect. They may not like the rules, but they can predict them and they know what to expect day to day. Now, over the summer, anything can happen on any given day and they may not know what to expect. And that, like I said, can be very scary. So try to keep a consistent routine. However, you do want to build in a little bit of flexibility. So every now and then, prepare your child that we're going to delay this part of the routine a little, or we're going to flip to activities in the routine a little, as your child can tolerate that. Because like I said, we don't want them to get too rigid in their routines. We want the routines to help with predictability without increasing inflexibility. So if your child develops difficulty with flexibility in their routine, ask for help. Talk to us on the Facebook page, and reach out during our group chat questions and during the Q&A, and we can help you with those specific answers to those specific questions. Also, keeping these consistent routines can help to prevent your child from getting too overtired or too hungry because their nap time or their meal came at a different time. So you just so happen to go to the park today, and what a great idea to go to the park and get outside and have some fun and get some social interaction. But by the time you're ready to get home, it's way past lunchtime where you would typically be eating. And now your child is cranky and hungry and hangry, and a tantrum could ensue. So as I just mentioned, if your child is hungry or tired, it can increase the likelihood that they're going to tantrum. So try to plan outings shortly after meals or after sleep so your child isn't too hungry or too tired. Everybody gets a little hangry sometimes, right? But your child might be more vulnerable to this. So if they're already tired or hungry and cranky, something that may not have set off their behavior will be more likely to set off their behavior, right? So it's like when you're having a rough morning, getting stuck in traffic is a lot more frustrating than when you're having a great morning and you happen to get stuck in traffic and it's, well, I'll get to listen to an extra song on Sirius radio, or I'll listen to an extra minute or two on my podcast. When you're having a bad morning and you're stuck in traffic, oh, road rage all over the place, right? So think about that in terms of how it's affecting your child as well. If you know you need to run errands or you're planning a play date, try to schedule them right after your child's normal meal or nap times so your child's well rested and well fed, which may help fend off tantrums while you're out. It also might be a good idea to pack some snacks wherever you go, when you go somewhere, especially if you'll be gone for more than an hour or two, again, in case your child starts to get a little hungry, and also to just reinforce appropriate behavior while you're out and about. So, wow, you're doing such a great job sitting and you're being so good while mommy's running these errands. Here, have some goldfish. So you might bring along a banana in a juice box if you go to the park, or a small bag of goldfish crackers when you go to the store, or something like that. And if your child isn't that hungry in the moment and you're going to the store, it'll make it less likely that they may tantrum over a snack or a food item that they see in the store that they may want immediately. And they're not going to go through the whole logical thought process of, I'm hungry, but we haven't purchased this yet, so I have to wait until we finish shopping and get online and pay for it, and then I can eat it. All they know is, I'm hungry and here is food and I want it, and why won't you let me have it? Is your child overstimulated? You want to try to avoid letting your child get too overstimulated. If your child's in an environment that's very loud, bright, busy, or crowded, they might start to feel overwhelmed. Since they don't have the words to tell you how they're feeling, or if they're not fluent with the language to be able to express their feelings, this can lead to a meltdown. Try to evaluate what's going on around you. And if it starts to seem like too much for your child, step away with them for a moment. When you're out, pay attention to your child's mood and gauge when they might be getting overwhelmed. If they start to seem withdrawn, sulky, angry, it's probably a good time to spend a few minutes somewhere else to quiet down, calm down, reassess the situation, and then determine, are you going to go back into that overstimulating environment again? If you are, for how long? How are you going to support your child to make it less overstimulating for him or her? How are you going to make it less overstimulating? Or how will you give them the appropriate way to request that you leave that environment, or you provide them something to help, like noise canceling headphones or earbuds that will allow them to hear, but that will muffle some of the noise, or give them something that maybe they can stim on that might help ease their anxiety, or something to that effect. You want to provide choices whenever possible. If your child is not feeling as if they have any control, and when you think about it, kids, especially our kids, don't have a lot of control over their life in general, right? We tell them what they're doing, who they're doing it with, when they're doing it, for how long they're doing it, what they're working for, what materials they're using, who they're socializing with, etc., etc., etc. So sometimes these behaviors come out of, I have no control and I want some control. Like I would feel really angry if I had no control over things going on in my life. Look at things going on around us. A lot of that anger happens to come from people feeling like they have no control over decisions being made for them. So this also is the case for your child. You want to give choices so they can feel control over the situation, which will make it less likely that they will get frustrated and tantrum. A child might have tantrums because they feel like they don't have any control over their own environment. Help them feel like they have a say in things by giving them opportunities to make small choices throughout the day. So it's not a choice whether you get dressed or not, but I can give you the choice of which 2 shirts, and you can pick one from the choice I'm giving you, right? So it's snack time, you might offer your child a choice between an apple and an orange. If you say between an apple and an orange and they choose chips, that wasn't the option. You can choose between the apple and the orange, or I can make the choice for you. If you choose not to eat it, that's fine, but you're still not getting the chips. Okay. Provide attention when your child is behaving well. This is really, really important. Sometimes tantrums are just a way to get attention. To a child, even negative attention is better than no attention at all. To help avoid this, look for examples of good behavior by your child. When you see your child being really well behaved, praise them and give them extra attention to reinforce that behavior. So for example, if you ask your child to put away a toy and they do it right away, get down on their level, give them a big hug and say, thank you so much for being such a good helper. I'm so proud that you were a good listener, or whatever language you would use with your child. Now, it's easier said than done, because when a child is acting out, they're standing out to you because their behavior is irritating you or embarrassing you or causing disruption in some way. When a child is behaving, they're quiet, they're calm, that gives you a minute to focus on something else, right? So when a child's doing the right thing, they can kind of blend into the woodwork a little bit, blend into the backgrounds a little bit. So what they learn is, when I'm doing the right thing, nobody pays any attention to me. But when I'm acting out, people pay a lot of attention to me. And that's the exact opposite message that we want to send. So one of the ways I recommend getting into this habit for a lot of parents is use your phone. Set a timer to go off on your phone, say every hour, every 30 minutes, every 45 minutes, however often you would like to set the timer for. When that timer goes off, your only job is to look at your child and find one thing that you can genuinely praise about what they're doing. Find one good thing that they are doing and genuinely praise it when that timer goes off. And if at the moment the timer goes off, your child is not engaged in a behavior you can reward or praise, keep an eye out for when they are. And as soon as they are, give them that appropriate praise and attention. And if it takes a while, you might have to wait till the timer goes off again. But the next time the timer goes off, look for the opportunity to catch your child being good. So setting a repeating alarm on your watch or your phone is a really good way to prompt yourself until you get into the habit of doing it. And believe me, it won't take long before you get used to looking for the appropriate behavior and giving it that intermittent attention that helps to maintain that behavior over time. And as I always say, don't give up. Preventing tantrums can be very challenging, even for experienced BCBAs and LBAs and ABA therapists in the field. Tantrums can be challenging, especially if it's your child that's tantruming. Like I said, I've seen this from both sides of the table. I've seen this as the ABA therapist. I've seen this as the BCBA, as the LBA. I've also seen it as the aunt of this little boy that I just love so much. And I get it, what it's like when they're tantruming and they're tantruming at you, and you are the one that's making them upset in that moment. And all you want to do is make them feel better and give in. And sometimes you're just tired and you just need a moment of peace, and it's hard to follow through. I get it. Don't give up. If you're having trouble implementing these suggestions, or these beginning strategies aren't enough to get rid of your child's tantrums, or your child's tantrums escalate in response to you changing the way you've been addressing them in the past, then it's really important that you reach out for more help and consult with an LBA or a BCBA. Reach out to us, ask for more help, okay? There's nothing wrong with asking for help, because like I said, each situation is different. And if the general suggestions or strategies either aren't enough or result in increased behavior, which kind of means you're doing the right thing, your child's having a hard time adjusting to that, we can give you more individualized suggestions in order to address that. But it's really important that you try to model calm behavior, and that you have a plan, and that you try to stick to that plan as much as possible. Because if you're losing your cool, all you're teaching your child is that it's okay to have a meltdown if you're really upset. And if it's okay for you to have a meltdown when you're really upset, then it's okay for your child to have a meltdown when they're really upset, right? If you're expecting your young child with a disability to change their behavior, calm down, use their words, focus, and respond appropriately when they're frustrated and upset, then when you're frustrated and upset and overwhelmed and tired, you have to show them that that's the behavior that you're expecting from yourself as well. And if you're somebody who has gotten upset or frustrated in the past, there's nothing that's more powerful to a child than to see a parent who is about to yell again, stop themselves and say, you know what? We're all doing things differently now. We don't yell. You don't yell. I don't yell. I'm going to take some deep breaths, and then we're going to talk about this. I need a second. I need a break. I will be right back. And then we're going to discuss this. For a child to see you do that will make a huge impression. They'll see that it's not only their behavior that's going to change, and it's not just their behavior that's being held to that standard. If you are having difficulty doing that, then imagine how much difficulty your child is having doing that. So if that's the case, reach out for help. We will help you. Let me show you how. So signing up for our 3-month group coaching program has guaranteed results, okay? What you get when you sign up for our program, our Champions for Children Masterclass, what you get these foundational skills for an independent life for your child. Now, what does that mean? It includes teaching you how to potty train your child, your child gaining communication, eliminating tantrums and problem behaviors, interacting together as a family, as if your child doesn't have the disability that's been getting in the way of that. Stop eloping from happening, which is an extremely dangerous behavior. Get your child trying new foods. Those are all things that you can accomplish through this program. We provide the how to be able to get all of those results that I just spoke about. And the way we do that is through education. When you sign up for this 3-month program, you get lifetime access to our masterclass self-study course. Now all of that information in that self-study course gives you the tools, the tips, and the roadmap you need to get you and your child the results that you're looking for, okay? You can access Potty Power, which is a little mini course, and nonverbal to communicate, a pre-recorded workshop course, and all the PDF guides that go with it, okay? You also get not only the education, but you get a community. You get a private Facebook community where every post gets personalized and tailored coaching by our team specific to what you need in any given moment to honor what you're going through. And you get 3 live expert weekly coaching calls, which is the fastest way to get results. So with Michelle, our mindset coach, and BCBAs like myself, where we will personalize your journey and milestones and teach you how to achieve them apparently effortlessly. You'll get specialist calls, mini programs, and workshop access. That includes one dietitian call once a month, which again, as you are aware, so many of our kids have diet problems, a restricted diet, problems with their belly, toilet training problems, all of it is connected, right? So our dietitian Greer is awesome. You will get a call with her once a month, a specialized call with our trifecta. Armando, he is amazing, okay? He is a BCBA, he was a therapist, and he is on the spectrum himself. So he can give you insight from really both sides of the table as a BCBA and as somebody on the spectrum who received services throughout his life. And you get free access to special trainings and guest speakers. Support truly is our North Star, and it guides all we do. Now, before we get into the specific details, let's just talk a little bit about what it can cost over a lifetime to have a child on the spectrum. It can actually run about $1.4 million over the course of a child's lifetime. And you can look at the breakdown right here when you're talking about communication devices and apps and iPads and software and diapers and ABA and speech and OT and PT and feeding therapy and therapy for you and extra help for academics and counseling for your siblings and all of the things involved that aren't even on this list, not to mention the emotional toll on you and your child and your family. This can total $8,400 a month, easy, easy. So let's talk about our program. So with our master class, you get lifetime access to the self-study program, like I mentioned before. You get 3 months of weekly group coaching. You get the Facebook community where no questions go unanswered. Now, if you sign up tonight, after tonight's workshop, you get these bonuses. You get the Potty Power course, which is over 3+ hours of nonstop potty content to get your child potty trained. You get the pre-verbal to communicate course to teach your child a bridge form of communication until they can get to be more and more verbal, and then to continue to build their verbal skills. And Advocate Like a Boss course. That will teach you all those needle moving steps that Michelle took to get Juliana from where she was in that video to where she is today. Now, this offer expires at midnight, so you want to sign up. Now, our program typically costs $29.97, but tonight only, you get a special $19.97, which is $1,000 off plus these bonuses. Now, you can break that up into 3 payments of $715. And our guarantee, when we say we guarantee results, we mean it. If you show up and you participate in the program and you don't see results in those 3 months, in those 90 days, you stay in the program until you do get the results that you're looking for, okay? So it's guaranteed results. Now, if it only takes you the 90 days that we've allotted for our typical program, at this price, that breaks down to $22 a day for 90 days of support. If you go into our chat box, there's a link. Just press on the link and you can sign up. When you think of what you can blow $20 a day on, I can blow $20 a day, can evaporate easy, easy. If I go out to lunch, easy. I go get a couple cups of coffee throughout the day, 20 bucks gone, right? So when you think of what you're getting for $20, $22 a day for 3 months or longer, if you need it, it's just mind-boggling. So I want you to hear what some of our other families have said about the effectiveness of what they think about being part of this course before we get to our Q&A section.
So when you came to us, what were your biggest struggles prior to joining the program? And what was your child's biggest struggles before you came to us?
First, a big one was potty training and speech. Like he had some words, but I couldn't really get him to fully tell me, what he wanted. So those were always my two biggest concerns with him, and for him and me, I guess, so for both of us.
This was the 7-year-old kid. He turned 7 in July. Who pee and pretty much poop in his pull-ups. When you look at him, like, my God, something's got to be done.
So we were not potty trained, we're not talking much. He wasn't able, if I told him to go get something, do any of those things.
Behaviors were starting to become more prevalent where he was becoming obstinate, stubborn, refusing to do the things we asked of him, to the point where he was even, destroying his room.
Speech was a big thing because he wasn't talking. It was a lot of just silence. Nothing. I came in just feeling very helpless, very confused, alone, not knowing what to do to help my baby.
By the time he was 21 to 22 months, he had lost all of his words and he was talking in phrases. By about 22 months, no words left, very unengaged, no eye contact, doesn't answer to his name.
Older was having meltdowns. The younger one was nonverbal and the verbal issues, communication issues.
Since he was diagnosed just before he turned 3, and you kind of feel like you're left out on your own in the cold, and you want to do every single thing you can for your kids.
Tell us what he's done, what he's accomplished. How do you feel now versus where you were when you started?
He's totally potty trained. We go everywhere, just in our undies. We don't have to worry about that. He is speaking way more.
When I called you at first, I was really overwhelmed. But now, I would say I never get overwhelmed, but I'm able to retrace. I really saw improvement. It was like day and night. I just rushed to where we are now, where Joseph will just run to the bathroom to pee. And it's not just pee. Joseph will run to the bathroom, and I'm like, "Where are you going?" I'm chasing him, and he's going to the bathroom, pull his pants down, and he's doing number 2.
So that helped me a lot. It helped me calm down and just focus on that. So focusing on getting him not scared of the toilet. And then that took a little bit, but then he finally was sitting down doing it. Yeah, it went really well. Like again, the tips you guys gave me, all the potty stuff worked great. He was finally sitting down, going to the potty, and we're fully potty training.
Each of you gave me something else that I didn't know or needed guidance in. The BCBAs obviously gave me help in the technical work with Brandon and how to encourage language and behavior. Stella gave me the emotional support.
You guys saved my family. I don't know how I got through as much as I did without you.
He's doing so much better, more eye contact for sure. We're working on talking, on saying some words, and just happier, I think because I'm happier.
More communication and potty training. And so when we started working together now, he is much more verbal. He's speaking in sentences and kept reminding me to, you can do this, you can do this. And we did.
It has been fantastic. My son is thriving in an integrated preschool. And, if I ever have any concerns, I can reach out to Michelle. She gets back to me right away.
They're doing really, really well. Both are potty trained. I'd say 95% of the time, doing really, really well. I think their ABA program here is wonderful. We got very lucky with that, and we've got good vision for the future.
All right, so then my last question for you is, would you recommend us to any other parents?
Every single person that I have met, I've already told them about you and your agency.
Absolutely. Hands down of everything we've done, this has been the best thing, just having so much support in the different areas. So absolutely, hands down, I would recommend this a million times over.
I would definitely refer anyone to this, because again, I never thought he was going to be potty trained.
It's worth it, I think anything, if you get just a little bit out of it, it's worth it. And I've got so much from this, so do it is what I would say.
I will recommend you. Whoever has a child on the spectrum, I will recommend Michelle.
I mean, if you have a chance to do this, I definitely recommend it. It has made all the difference. Thank you.
I love that video too. Okay, so before we open the Q&A, I just want to get to a couple of frequently asked questions. First, about our program. One question that we often get is, how much time is this going to take? Well, it really depends on how much time you implement and you put into the program. Think about the time you've lost not knowing how to help your child. Now, think about the time you'll get back by having a team of experts take you from where you are now to the results you want for your child. Now is your chance at a life where autism no longer has to be you or your child's sole identity, which is huge, right? Another question we often get is, what do I get for this investment? Well, by joining, you're putting yourself in an environment where amazing results are experienced daily. We defy the expectations of a child diagnosed with autism and create examples of what is possible. You're investing in helping your child develop the necessary skills for a life of independence. You'll learn from other parents just like you by being immersed in a community to gain momentum towards your child's results. And sometimes when you reach out on the Facebook group, sometimes other parents will also jump in and say, I went through that too, and this is what worked for me. Or I see you and I get what you're doing. And if you need to talk about how hard it is, reach out to me. I mean, it is an amazing community. You can read a book or watch a workshop like this, but this program gives you 90 days of personalized strategies for you to implement and get the results you want. Like, you can go back and rewatch this video if you need to, but it's just going to give you exactly the same information I gave you tonight in exactly the same way I gave it to you. But when you reach out with a personalized question, I can ask you questions and get some information on what you tried, what pieces worked, what about the environment might give me a clue as to why it didn't work, and how we can either tweak it to make it work or a different strategy altogether that might work for you, right? So you're going to get different information by reaching out to each one of us at a different time. And you get your life back because your child becomes independent. Look at the difference between Juliana at the beginning of that video and at the end of that video. Like, think about where Michelle would be and what she would be doing right now had Juliana not developed the skills that she has developed and become the person that she's becoming today and will be tomorrow. And I can't wait to see her, you know, down the road. So you can get your life back too. Another question that we often get is, how is this different than support that I currently get? Well, it's very different. We're equipping you, the parent, with customized tools that you need to see those therapies through at home while getting expert support to help keep you consistent. I've been working in this field for 30 years, and the kids that have the best prognoses are the kids whose parents are actively involved, that are learning these strategies. I say all the time that we're the one field that really actively tries to put ourselves out of business because we want to teach you what we know so you don't need us anymore, okay? And that's what we hope to achieve. You will know exactly what effective therapy looks like, and you will use it with your child for results. You will confidently show up fluent in the language of your child by learning ABA. This isn't magic. There was a time I didn't know ABA either. All I did was learn it. I took courses, people taught me, I learned on the job, I learned by experience, I learned through trial and error and going to workshops and taking more classes and getting more support from people who trained me. And now I know this well enough that I can teach it to just about anybody. You can learn it too, right? And you're even more motivated than I was because I was doing this so that I could help you guys. You're learning this so you can help your kids. This is your one-stop place from a mom who has experienced it firsthand. I mean, look at what Michelle has gone through. She knows where you are because she's been there. And if you want to give up, our mindset coach will make sure your mind is in the right place to stay determined in achieving your goals. Like, it's easy to get frustrated. It's easy to want to give up and to want to throw your hands up in the air and go, I just don't know what to do for my child. And I don't know if I can do this, right? Our mindset coach helps with that. Michelle helps with that. Stella helps with that. Like, they will get you out of your own way, and we will give you the interventions and the strategies that you need. You have 24/7 access to our community, so you are never alone, and you can talk about things neurotypical parents don't understand, without judgment, without fear, without worrying about, is somebody going to understand? Like, everybody here understands. Need more support? Well, if you sign up by midnight, you're going to get these additional bonuses. In addition to the bonuses we talked about before, if you sign up by midnight tonight, you will get an additional 30-minute private session with Michelle and a 30-minute private session with a BCBA, either me or a BCBA like myself. So if you have questions before committing, you can book a call with a team member. So you can either click on the link, or you can email Stella, S-T-L-L-A, at michellebrodgers.com. That's Stella at Michelle, M-I-C-H-E-L-L-E, B, Rogers, R-O-G-E-R-S, all one word, .com. It's right there on your screen, so take a moment to note that address if you need it. And like I said, feel free to go into the Q&A in the chat box and click on the link. So I am going to take a quick look in our chat right here, and all the links are there. So you can definitely click on any of the links in our chat box. And I am taking a quick look at our Q&A posted questions, and then I am going to go to live questions. So the first posted question is from Rashunda, who said, hi, yes, I believe mine had to do with the shots they have to get to go to school. He started acting differently after he was given 5 vaccines at once. Is it any way I can be able to pass my kid getting them if I ever get married and have another kid? Also, is there some natural cure you can think of? Let me know, thanks. So they've done studies about the whole vaccine thing, and I'm not going to get into the whole pros and cons of that. All I will say is that autism is a neurological disorder. It just means that the nervous system has been damaged in such a way that it results in this disorder, autism spectrum disorder, which is characterized by difficulties in language, social skills, and behavior, including restricted and repetitive interests. So until they learn how to repair neurons, which they're working on things like that today. So medical technology is catching up with a lot of stuff out there. But until they can actually repair neurological damage or repair neurons, there's not a cure to autism per se. But don't fear. What we work on is we teach your child how to compensate for that at such an automatic rate that nobody can tell they're compensating anymore, right? Like, I have a significant visual impairment. If I wasn't wearing my glasses, I could not read any of these slides. I could not drive my car. I could not work, right? But if I was wearing contacts, you wouldn't even know I had a visual impairment. I put on these glasses and I am immediately compensating automatically, and I can go about my day and do whatever I need to do. Okay, it's a very similar thing. We teach your child compensatory strategies that become second nature to them. So before they know it, it becomes more automatic to them. So don't give up hope. I don't have a natural cure for you, but I do have a science that's had decades and decades and decades of success teaching kids on the spectrum. But there's no easy solution. There's no magic cure. It just takes work, and it takes consistency, and it takes community, and it takes reaching out to people that know what to do and can teach you how to do it, and then having you do it on a day-to-day basis. So that being said, I want to be able to answer questions. So if anybody has a question that they would like me to answer, I am looking to see where I can see raised hands. If anybody has a question that they want to ask, please feel free. Let's see. Oh, I do see a raised hand. Let me see if I can get to that. Okay, Amanda Union, I see that you have your hand raised. If you would like to unmute your mic, I am more than happy to answer any questions you might have. Amanda, if you're there, hi.
Hi, how are you?
I am well. How are you?
I'm great. Well, I have a question for you and kind of like something what I've been doing with my son. Before he got diagnosed with autism back in March, in the beginning of probably the beginning of March, because I was searching it, he had all the signs for autism, and I stumbled across these vitamins called Nuobrock.
Mhm.
And I've been giving them to him since March, and his tantrums, I can't say they diminished completely, but they went from having like 4 or 5 a day to having maybe 3 or 4 a week.
Oh, wow. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, he still has them from time to time, yes, but now that I watch this, now I can work with these too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But I wanted to tell all the other parents that are on here about it and see if maybe it's something that they would want to try.
That's really nice of you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. It's called Nuobrock. Neurobroc. Nuobrock.
Okay, Neuro.
BROCC. Nuobrock.
Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Like I said, we have a great community here, and parents are always looking out for each other and giving additional information. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah. No, it's not. I can't say it's not pricey. It's a little pricey, but the payout for it is worth it. He hasn't. It's probably the most amazing thing. He went from having so many tantrums to not talking, and now that he's been having this, he's been talking more. He's not having as many tantrums. I just thought maybe other parents would want to know about it.
That's great. That's really great. And I'm sure as you've been learning more and more about, the disorder and in your research and finding those things, I'm sure that you're also learning more just about all of these things in general. So as your child is becoming more open to, so any kind of medication or vitamins or things like that, what it does is it makes, if it's effective for your child, it makes them more open to effective interventions. It makes them more open to learning. It makes it more open to learning from their environment. So if you now have a medication or a vitamin or something that you're giving your child that's helping their immune system or their neurological system kind of wake up a bit, now they're going to be open to all of these strategies and interventions. And as long as you are consistent and you say what you mean what you say and things, and you're consistent, you are going to see so much progress over time. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Absolutely. No problem at all. Yes. My question would be, my son loves to get into my makeup box, no matter where I put it.
Okay.
How do I prevent him from getting into it when it's sitting in front of him? And even though I tell him, no, go play with your toys instead, this is mommy's, go play with your stuff, is there any particular thing that you could suggest to make it to where he doesn't touch my expensive stuff?
So I would give a couple of suggestions. So one thing you can do is you can give him a box of his own makeup that's similar. So like powdery stuff or creamy stuff or anything that's like the stuff that you have in your makeup kit, but that's like kid friendly and cheap and whatever, that he can also play with, so that he doesn't touch you have your box, he has his box, he can do what he wants with his box, but not with your box. And then give him some paper, give him some other things. Maybe he'll do some finger art or get creative with things. You can even show him how to like make some stuff on the paper with his fingerprints and handprints and things like that. Let him play with his box, but not yours. You also want to have a treat or a reward for him. So as long as he is only playing with his box, periodically you praise and reward him for playing with his stuff and leaving mommy's stuff alone.
Oh, okay.
So that's one big suggestion I would, because that way you're reinforcing the absence of the behavior that you don't want him to do, and you're giving him something to do in its place. And when you have both sides of that, that's always most effective.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm going to try that.
Something similar to what mommy's doing, instead of playing with his own toys, just give him something similar, but that's not yours.
Yeah, because he's destroyed like 10 of my lipsticks.
Okay, yeah. Get some stuff, put in his own box, reinforce him for using that, and please come back and let me know how things are going.
I will, absolutely. And by the way, he hasn't gone through the doggy door in like 2 weeks.
Oh, huzzah! I'm glad to hear that. Yay! Good, good, good. Keep coming back and keeping me posted. I love to hear follow-up. I really do.
Awesome. Okay, I will for sure.
Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good.
Shiny P. I don't want to destroy your name. I apologize if I'm pronouncing it incorrectly, but I am available. I am at your disposal. I see your hand is raised. Shiny, I'm so sorry. Hi. How do you pronounce your name?
So my name is Shalini.
Shalini. Oh, it came up as two eyes on my thing, so I apologize.
No, you're fine. I just noticed that one of my letter L is missing, so I gotta correct that.
Okay, no worries. What can I do for you?
So 2 questions.
Yes.
I happen to join in late. Can we have a recording of this?
Oh yeah,
session?
you can rewatch this video. We'll be up on the Facebook group, and you can rewatch it. Yes.
But I think the Facebook group is only for the people who have enrolled with Michelle, I guess.
Okay, no, you will be able to rewatch this. Email Stella at michellebrodgers.com, and she will tell you exactly how you can gain access to this over and over again, or if they send you a link or however that works. But you get access to this so you can see this again.
Okay, perfect. So my son is 6.5 years old, and he talks in sentences, but only for something that is motivational to him. He wouldn't want to have conversations or engage with us, maybe WH questions or the curiosity to the things that are happening around him. So I was actually interested to build up language on that part. And recently he's coming back with the behavior. So he's obsessed with that Finger Family song. He's just obsessed. And
Okay.
I curse YouTube for that. They have made videos of every freaking thing in the household with that Finger Family song.
Mhm.
And my son imitates it. So he will just pick up anything and everything and he would start singing that song. Like he can sing it nonstop and it gets in my head. I have to convert this non-functional behavior into something functional.
Yes.
So it's like he was doing it with crayons. So I would just tell him, oh, I think you have crayons in your hands. Do you want to color? So I would give him paper, and he would get upset with me. And so we got rid of the crayons. But then he's like sometimes even sneaking out and trying to do it. I know it is stimming because he sometimes just puts it on the fingers and, watches it weirdly. So I really need strategies, if possible, to get rid of this behavior.
Sure.
Yeah.
So as far as the singing and the songs go, so you can do a couple of different things with that. You can either reward him with something that's powerful and motivating for him for periods of time that he doesn't engage with that song at all. So as an example, if you took a picture of his favorite item or activity and then took that picture, laminated it and cut it into 4 pieces, and then set a timer. So say as an example, every 10 minutes that you go without singing that song, you earn 1 piece of the picture. And then when the picture is fully completed, you get access to that item or activity for a period of time. If he starts to sing while the timer's counting down, you reset the interval. So if he's perfect, he could earn it if it's 10 minutes per piece. If he was perfect, he could earn it in 40 minutes. If he wasn't perfect, it might take him 50 minutes or 55 minutes, depending on if you have to reset the timer or not. So he learns the more quiet I am, the faster I get access to my item or activity.
Got it. Oh, that's a really good one. Okay.
The other thing that I would do is give him a designated time that he can do that. So limit it to once a day or twice a day or at this time, or make it something he can work for, and like have a little sign or something that shows him like it's okay that the time you can sing your song now, or let him know like when at the end of the day when you've finished blah blah blah, then we can sing that song before you go to bed, or we could sing that song together after dinner. So that way he can still get it out. He can get it out once, but it's under your control. It's not under his control. And then go back to the timer and continue to reinforce its absence. So when you're not allowing it, you're going to reinforce the absence of it, and he's only going to get it access during designated times. Chances are it won't be as fun, and you'll see it go away.
Okay. Another question I wanted to ask, he does understand grade level videos in YouTube, like stories and, you know, shows like that. But he would always prefer to watch like lower grade videos and baby things, you know, like 5 Little Monkeys, 5 Little Ducks. He's a November born, and I'm in New Jersey. So he got an extra school year. So right now he's gonna go in 1st grade instead of 2nd grade.
Okay.
And we see that he does have interest in watching animated videos of the stories that he read in the books and stuff like that. But that's when I have the control. If he has the control of the device, he is always like typing in for those little baby things. How can I get rid of that? Or how can I make him understand that that's not age appropriate? You know what I mean?
So again, I would recommend something very similar where he can only have access to the baby videos as like a really powerful reward for something that's hard for him, and continue to build up those other videos. It's the change, it's the familiarity, it's the ease, it's the melodies that go along with that. Like all of the things that become more age appropriate as you get older aren't as like colorful and vibrant and fun as those easy melodic rhymes that you kind of get when you're little. And some of it is just, like I said, nostalgia and familiarity. Like change, most kids on the spectrum don't like change. So they would rather do something that they did when they were little than learn something new that they're doing now. So I would do the same thing. I would reinforce its absence. So when he has the opportunity to choose something to watch, you can tell him, if you choose to watch this video, you can watch it for 2 minutes, the video you don't want him to watch. But if you choose this other one, you could have it for 10 minutes, right? So make it more worth his while to choose the other video, or only make those babier videos available, like I said, at limited times of the day. And at the other times, you might have to watch him put in the videos until it becomes less of a habit for him as well.
Okay. It's like you see it going and coming back. Is it common? Is it
That is very common.
So
And
what
that
it
just
is
means
it
he needs to
sensory?
learn-
Like
he
what is
needs
the
to learn
reason?
some more appropriate skills of his that are interesting to him. to replace those. So over time, as he starts to develop other interests and is looking at the more age appropriate stuff, as that becomes more and more familiar to him, then that will be comforting. Instead of the little kid stuff being as comforting. It just takes a lot more exposure to it, reinforcement to it, exploring some other things, seeing what other interests he might have. He might have, say, like, I have some kids that were like really obsessed with, say, Thomas the Tank Engine, and it became too babyish for them as they got older. But we taught them to like other more age appropriate train related stuff. Or like my nephew had been obsessed with Barney, but we got him interested in other more age appropriate dinosaur related stuff as he got older.
Got it. Got it.
Okay, so try that, and please come back and let me know how it's going.
Definitely. Yes,
My
definitely.
pleasure.
Thank you so much.
You are very welcome. Let's see, Lanita, I see that you have your hand raised. Lanita, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Please, if you would like to unmute your mic, I am at your disposal and happy to answer your question.
Hi, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I don't know if you saw my question that I left sort of in the chat room or not.
What is your question?
Yeah, so I worked with ABA. So first, let me say that my son is older. So he's like 22.
Okay.
But he's still, is cognitively, very low.
Okay.
So, he's still sort of functioning at like it's sort of range of a 3 to 5 year old. Okay. Or maybe even lower on some skills. And we tried ABA sort of when it, sort of first kind of came out, and we did it, and mainly with potty training, and that was sort of the main focus, and for verbalization. And we were not successful, probably because we did not do a lot of reinforcement at home, and because it was more done in the school, so the training wasn't for, while they kind of gave me things like documents and things like that, it wasn't something where I sat in and saw what they were doing. So I was not able to model it, I feel, as well as I could have if they were doing it like at my house.
Of course.
So, we sort of did it. It was like a 2-year kind of thing. And, we got out of it what we got out of it. And then we stopped because I felt it just did not do as much as it could have. And I actually work in the behavioral health field in terms of like contracting and things. So I work with a lot of ABA groups, and, I've heard the success stories and all of that, and, sort of thought about, well, maybe I should get him kind of back in this, but always thought the child needed more of a cognitive ability to understand, I think. And so I just, and maybe because of my experience, thought this probably just won't work. So now that, and because it's usually more with younger children, now that he is as old as he is, but even still mentally, at a very young age, do you think that is something that would still be helpful? Because we are still having problems with potty training. While he's better than he was, he's not 100%, especially outside of my home. Yeah. And he's still very he's nonverbal, period. He doesn't have really any
definitely, even in his 20s, yes, this absolutely. I started working with individuals in their 20s as well, in similar situations, and yes, this can still be very, very helpful. It's really a shame that your original experience with ABA wasn't better and more successful for you, because this really is a strategy that can be so beneficial when it's done well, and when the parents are incorporated, like you said, live and in person and with modeling and things like that. It can become so successful. So you can get ABA services through health insurance, where an ABA team could come into your home and provide that kind of service and modeling and intervention. And with that kind of support, and in addition to the kind of support that we provide, we can help to develop those skills for you. So they could come in and give you like people to work on programs throughout the day. We can really focus a lot on the parent training component of it to give you all the skills, the community, the diet, the potty programs, the verbal to nonverbal, like all of those skills and strategies. And you can still have a team at home to help you with the follow through on a day-to-day basis.
Mhm.
So I would definitely recommend looking into getting those services for him.
Okay.
It certainly won't hurt.
I don't know though, because I don't know that all the states yet have adopted it for insurance. I'm in Maryland, so do you know? I generally work in Pennsylvania and I know they have, but I did not know if Maryland was one of the states that they have.
Yes, it should be. What do you mind me asking what your insurance is?
I think I have United Health.
Oh, yes. We work with United Healthcare all the time. So
okay.
Contact United Healthcare Behavioral Health Services. So call your on the back of your insurance card. When you get on the phone with them, tell them that you're looking for the Behavioral Health Services Division, and then tell them what you're looking
you know what?
for.
Wait, I'm sorry. Let me stop because I forgot he's separate. He's under a Medicaid plan.
Okay, so is it Child Health Plus?
He has Health Partners.
Okay, so call them and let them know, same thing, that you're looking for their behavioral services division,
right,
and that you're looking to get home-based ABA services, and they'll give you a list of providers in your area that are available. And like I said, chances are initially they'll focus on getting programs in place for him and getting to know him and working with him and getting those foundational skills built up. And then we can continue to help with parent training and coordination and getting all of those skills, helping you get the right mindset, get some of those programs and strategies in place, get the whys behind some of the strategies that when they're in the house, a lot of times they focus on the what to do. But if you know the why behind it, when a variation happens, you know what to do. But if you only know like what to do, but you don't know why you're doing it, it's hard to figure it out when it doesn't happen the exact same way.
Yes. So, okay.
So reach out to your insurance company and book a call. And please keep in touch and let me know so that we can continue to help you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate
it. My pleasure. Okay, let's see. I'm going to try and get through a couple more questions here. Let's see. Rathna Thumma, your hand is raised and I am more than happy to answer your question. What can I do for you?
Hi, you able to hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, awesome, good. First of all, I would appreciate you and your team doing a very good job, conducting discussions and giving help and support to moms like me who are already so much pressurized with the surroundings, with the kid and the family, everything. We don't know how to deal with such kids, right? So this information is very helpful. So I have two questions basically. First is, let me introduce myself. I'm a mom. I have only one single child. We did not plan to have another one because we came to know about my daughter's, she's 9-year-old, about my daughter's situation. And then we thought, what if the second kid is also same and things like that. So sometimes I feel like she doesn't have any siblings. So her daily routine is, I'm also working right now and I couldn't focus much on her. So when the school is on, she'll go to school, and when she's back from school, we are providing all those ABS services. They're doing potty training and all other activities with her. But if the school is not there, so she's home, she's watching, she can watch TV whole day. And she learns very quickly from watching TV. She'll sing, she'll catch up the words. She's now 9-year-old, right? So she's watching all this Barbie stuff. She'll say, sometimes she'll say, "Hey Barbie, where are you?" I said, "I'm not Barbie, I'm mom." But she'll talk all those things. But she's like mimicking a lot from those TV shows. But in not all circumstances, situations, she's talking. Like she doesn't have a functional language. So no conversation, nothing, not communicating with us, like if any wants or needs, nothing. So I don't know how to improve on that, how to bring up her language and, all those stuff. So is there a way to, do you have a plan? Like, you have any strategies?
So one of the things that I would definitely recommend is, since she tends to learn so well from videos, is I would make videos that have a little of that back and forth conversation. So I would make a video with you and with another communicative partner. So with you talking to somebody else about something that, like, say you want to talk to her about, like, hi, how was your day? Kind of just 2 exchanges back and forth. Make a couple of video models of you having a couple of short back and forth exchanges with someone else, and let her watch those and then practice them with her. And I bet you'll start to see her using the appropriate conversation from the videos that you make, that she'll start to use that in the real actual situation with you.
That's good. That's good to know. I didn't thought of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then, like I said, let me know how that goes. And if you need additional suggestions, come back and let me know, and we can give you all the next steps.
Okay. And my thank you for that. I will definitely try and see, maybe me and my husband, or I can pick one friend and we can record. Yeah, she doesn't tell me, like, coming back from school, while walking down the street, from the bus stop till home. I ask her, how was your day? Like a typical parent ask, right? She'll be silent, no answer. So I asked the school. I think one quick question. Thing I would like to tell you. I think I attended your other session also about the potty training. So one of the parent was asking, right, about like the kid is not saying what happens in the school and they have a difficulty. So the same situation I had, and I informed the school, like, this is what the thing going on. She I don't know how many bowel movements she have, whether she have any diaper change or anything, what session she have, like PT, OT, or any speech therapy. Did she attend anything? I don't know, right? The schedule and everything. So they started maintaining a book, like a journal, and then they were writing everything in that, like number of diapers changed, or today she has PT, or today she learned on counting, today she played with friends. Or sometimes they write, like, she had a fight with another friend about she's tried to snatch a toy, something like that, or she was a lot verbal today, something like that. They're writing and sending it back to me. So that was one helpful tip, like, parent can ask, right? The teacher.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's what I'm also following. So I just want to convey the same to the other parents, if anybody have an issue. So my important question, coming back to my important question is, can you explain me about your strategies or the things, right, about this program? So if I enroll, how it will be, how the typical session will be? Is it a online daily program, or like, couple of workshops, or is it like it's a 90-day program, right? So is it daily or a weekly, or how is it? Like?
So we have, it's a 3-month program. So to get all of the specifics, a book that call Stella, email Stella at michellebrodgers.com, and she will give you all of the specifics. But basically what it is it's a 3-month program. If you complete your goals in that 3 months, if you need longer than that, then you'll get longer than that. But it's a 3-month program model. In those 3 months, we do a lot of presentations throughout the week. So we do like a weekly BCBA call. We do like a weekly mindset coach call. We do a weekly call with Michelle, and you'll be part of that. You can also, so that's where you'll get a lot of strategies from us to try. And then you'll come back the following week, participate in the next presentation, then you can let us know how it went and if you have what your next questions are. If you have a question about something between 1 week and the next, you can reach out on the Facebook group, pop in a quick question, or reach out, shoot a text or an email over to Michelle or to the BCBA or to whomever, and we can get back to you and answer that question. So you can continue to use that strategy, so you can let us know what the progress is the following week, and we can give you the next step. Right. So you're part of all of the presentations and all of the material that we present weekly, regularly. and you have access to the Facebook group. And like I said, you'll get the all of the self-study courses. So it'll give you all the information on like the potty training programs, on the verbal to nonverbal programs. All of the presentations that we do for that are part of that self-study program. So you can go in and watch videos like this and look at presentations. And that way you can come to us and say, I was watching the Potty Power training presentation and I want to implement it for my child. And I think this is how I should do it. Am I doing it right? Or do you have a suggestion? And then we could say, oh yeah, you got it. Use these intervals, use a token board, and we can give you some little tips on how to individualize it for yourself.
So those discussions.
Email Stella and she will give you all of the specific details on everything that you'll get as part of the program. Because they always have like bonuses and all this other stuff. And I do more of the clinical stuff than setting up the program itself. So Stella will have more answers on the specifics of everything that's included in the 90-day program.
So those sessions will be on demand, like whenever I'm free, or they're like scheduled timing that I have to join?
So some of them are depending on what you sign up for, because we do have other options. We do have like one-to-one options where you can schedule time. It's a one-to-one accelerator program where you schedule time one-on-one with the BCBAs around your schedule. And for the group meetings, they're scheduled weekly. So it might be, say, Thursday night at 6:30 will be the presentation with the question and answer period. But if you can't make it for that, you can still access the video and then you can just post questions to us. So again, it kind of depends on what you sign up for. So like I said, just email Stella and ask her what all the options are, and she will give you all the specifics, or just click on the link in the chat box and they will give you all of the information and answer all of your questions about exactly what you'll get in all of those 90 days and how to set it up.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Okay, I'm going to try to get to the 2 more questions before I do a hard stop. So I have 2 more hands raised. I have COCK. Your hand is raised. So you are I am at your disposal and happy to answer your question if you would like to unmute your mic.
Yo.
Hi.
When do you think the Grady is going to be in the Battle Pass?
Excuse me?
Do you know the Fortnite Battle Pass? Do you know the Fortnite Battle Pass?
Oh, I'm not familiar with the Fortnite.
Okay, so
battle.
I've been waiting for the Grady for about 46 days, right? And I cannot find it. Like, I have a prediction it will be tonight. Wait. It might be today. Wait. Fortnite Battle Pass. Fortnite shop.
I'm not really sure if I'm the right person for you to be asking the questions. Are you here to have, do you have any questions about like working with your child or having tantrums or things like this? Or are you just interested in the Battle Pass?
This is why I'm asking. My child keeps on getting angry because of the Battle Pass. What do I do?
Oh, okay. I understand now. I was a little confused as to why you were asking about the Battle Pass. Okay. So your child is having tantrums over accessing the Battle Pass.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it that they don't know when it's coming out and they're trying to access when it's coming out? Is that what they're having the tantrum over, or they have access to it and they're tantruming over being able to play it?
Yeah, he's tantruming about the Battle Pass when it comes out, and he's broke his TV.
Okay. So it sounds to me like he's got some aggressive behavior, destructive behavior. He's broken TV. Is that something that's typical?
Yeah, he put my guitar through it.
Okay, so this is something that's a little bit more complicated than just the beginnings of some minor tantrums and things like that we were kind of discussing in the presentation. So what I would recommend, first of all, I would definitely recommend booking a call so we can give you some individualized attention and individualized help, because this is something that's going to be a little bit more complicated than a quick 2-minute answer. But what you need to do is get a functional behavioral assessment done for your child, where a BCBA will be able to figure out the function behind your child's behavior, exactly why they're engaging in this behavior, what cues the behavior, what maintains the behavior. They can give you behaviors to replace it. So to give him something more appropriate in its place, it can give you both positive, proactive strategies to try and avoid and prevent the behavior from happening, and give you reactive strategies. So how to handle it if the behavior starts to happen, and how to handle it if the behavior already occurs. But like I said, it's definitely a more complex question. So I would recommend booking a call, and that way we can talk more extensively outside of this context, so that we really can come up with a plan for you, because it sounds to me like he needs an actual behavior intervention plan where you would be reinforcing replacement behaviors and coping skill behaviors and the absence of this behavior with something that he wants more than he wants to engage in this particular behavior. So I don't want to give you, like I said, a real quick little snappy answer that's not necessarily really going to give you the help that you want. So my recommendation would be email Stella, book a call, and let's speak more so that I can really give you some more individualized assistance.
I've got another problem. My older child is weird, right? He thinks he's a character from. So.
Okay. How about Nena? Your hand is raised, and I am more than happy to answer your question.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay. My son is 4. He goes into this behavior of clapping like you're in the stadium.
Okay.
How do I get him to quit clapping?
Okay, so it really depends on why he's clapping. So is it that he's clapping when you're asking him to do something that he doesn't want to do because he knows once he starts clapping, he's not going to have to do that activity? Or is he clapping because when he claps, he gets a big reaction from people trying to get him to not clap? Or does he do it because it just feels good and sounds good? So the only way to really tell that is to write down some data, to write down every time he starts clapping like that, write down what happened immediately before he started clapping and what happened in response to his clapping. So as an example, he was sitting watching a video on the iPad before, started clapping, and I asked him to stop. Okay, that might be what you write down. Or it could be he was clapping right before he started clapping. I was helping his brother with his homework and he started clapping and I ignored it. So whatever happens, whatever it is, immediately before the clapping and immediately after the clapping, write all of that down for a week and then let us know what that information is, because that's going to give us the pattern, which tells us what the function of the behavior is. Once we know the function, we can give you a plan that addresses the function and gives you a good replacement behavior for it. So if it's something that feels good, we could teach him to do something else appropriate that gives him the same sensation, like tapping on a drum or something like that, that's appropriate, that could be under your control, that eventually he could work for. So instead of just clapping like this, we can get him to tap on a drum or to tap on a pad or something that's more appropriate. If he's doing it to get out of tasks, then we can't let him get out of tasks in response to the clapping. If he's doing it for attention, you have to ignore it, but it will get worse before it goes away if you're ignoring it and it's for attention. So the best way I can give you a plan is for you to write some of that information down and then come back and let us know so that we can guide you through a more specific plan. But that's the basis of it.
Okay.
So you start writing down that information and then share that with us so we can give you some more specific suggestions.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Okay, and I'm going to do one more, and then I have to do a hard stop for the evening. So Patrick, you are next on the list. If you would like to unmute your mic, I would be happy to answer your question.
Oh, can you hear me?
Hi, yes, I can.
Basically, I'm just a recently divorced dad. I have 2 kids. One is 11, one is 8. And basically, my oldest son, called Daniel, he's 11, so he's obviously going through puberty and stuff. And obviously, he's exploring his body. I don't really know how to say this without being crude or
That's
anything,
okay.
but he's masturbating, but he's doing it in public.
Okay.
And he's always doing it to this one character from Family Guy. This Peter Griffin, I think.
Okay.
He's always doing it to this one character, and it's just, I mean, he's doing it in like public, like when we're out in town and stuff, and I don't really know what to do.
Okay, so the first thing that I would suggest is, yes, it is about puberty, and this is an automatically reinforcing behavior. He's doing it because it's stimulating, it feels good. So it's
Right.
not that you're going to keep him from wanting to do that particular behavior. So it's about time and place. So that's what we really need to express to him, is that when you want to engage in private time, that it has to be private. It has to be in your bedroom and nobody else is there, or in the bathroom. The bathroom is a really good place for that because that's a private place to begin with.
Yeah.
So it's more about, you can't do it here, but you can do it there with no negative consequences for that. When you're out and about in public, try to give him things that occupy his hands so that his hands are busy and it's harder for him to get them down his pants. Get him pants that have pockets, have him keep his hands in his pockets so that they're not down his pants if possible. Give him other, like I said, appropriate things to hold and carry or to engage in. A lot of reinforcement for being appropriate, for keeping your hands busy the right way. And like I said, express to him that that's okay, but privately in the bathroom, and reinforce him for it not happening when you're out in public for like brief periods of time. Like, I love the way you're keeping your hands down. I love the way you're keeping your hands appropriate.
Yeah, right.
Okay, start
Problem is, it's
there.
just-
And if that's not helpful, then please come back and let me know, and we can discuss some other strategies where we
Yeah, it's a lot harder as well because I have like really bad arthritis in my hands and stuff. So, and he's a strong kid as well. He's like, must be about, I mean, he's pretty tall. He must be about 5'7", something like that, and he's pretty strong. So it's hard to lift his arms up, from when he's putting his hands down there and that.
Right. So if you can't physically do that, then we have to do it through motivation. It'll just take a little bit longer. So we have to have something that he really, really, really wants, and he gains access to it for not putting his hands down his pants for brief periods of time, and he loses access. So it's like gaining points for like every 10 minutes that you're not doing that, and losing points each time I see it happening. And then at the end of the day, the number of points you have gets you access to something that you really want, like your iPad or your iPhone or your favorite video or whatever it happens to be. And I would try and restrict access to Family Guy as much as you possibly can. So again, that's something he watches privately when he's got his private time. So if he's not watching it in the living room, it may not be as on his mind as if he happens to see that show. So I would start there. Let me know how that goes. Come back in like a week or so and let me know how that's going. And if that's not successful or you're not seeing any change whatsoever, then we can give you the next steps from there.
Right, okay, thank you.
Okay, that's a difficult behavior. Don't get frustrated. It does take a while, but we can get there. I've seen it before. This is nothing that's new. So we can get there. But have hope.
I mean, if he was just doing it in the house and stuff, I'd still be a bit concerned, but it's just because he's doing it in public and he's done it in front of my very religious mother, and she went ballistic. So
right, and I'm sure that he gets a big reaction from that too. So it's partly that it feels good, and it's partly that, look how I can control the reactions of the adults around me that control my life. So
Yeah.
it's part of that too. And if you're not going to be able to control the other people's reactions, then you have to kind of do it through earning stuff for not doing it and having privileges taken away for it happening. So like I said, like a point system is really good for that. So when you go out, like keep a tally counter, you can load an app for a tally counter on your phone. So like every 5 minutes, you can hit the tally for the number of points, and then you can take one away every time you see it happen. And then when you leave, tally them up, and then you have to have a good payoff for him. So, you know, you get 5 minutes with the iPad for every point you end up with at the end of the day, once we subtract and add all of them together, or a minute per point, depending on how many points he's earning. So, start there and then come back and let me know how it's doing. But this is one of those behaviors that, like I said, book a call, let us have access ongoing. And this is something that we can help you with over time, because this is going to be a behavior that's going to take a few suggestions and some ongoing support to get under control. But with those suggestions and that ongoing support, we really can get it under control.
Yeah, right. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, everybody, I have to have a hard stop tonight. I was going to do that about 20 minutes ago, but I really wanted to get to as many questions as I can. So for anybody whose questions I was not able to answer, please feel free to post any questions in the Q&A section, or post them on the Facebook wall, and book those calls so that I can have access to you at later dates. And any of the questions that you have tonight, I'll be able to answer during subsequent presentations. So please book a call and continue to come back to our workshops, and I will be happy to continue to answer all of your questions. It was a pleasure, and I really appreciate your guys staying to the end, and appreciate your attention through this workshop tonight. I look forward to seeing you guys again. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful evening, and I really hope this has been